In this video, I'm going to show you how to authenticate with SharePoint Online using Python and MSAL library. This could be useful in a lot of scenarios where we would like to use SharePoint in our automatic scripts or our backend solution, etc. So, to authenticate with SharePoint Online, we have to do the following. 1. Ensure we have a certificate, so a public and private keys. Upload the certificate to Azure portal for our app registration. Get the certificate thumbprint. It's going to be used in we have to use it in our MSAL, making the request to create application credentials with MSAL. Then I'm going to show you how to use MSAL library to authenticate with SharePoint, and we're going to test connectivity end-to-end to actually check if our authentication worked as we expected. We're going to use MSAL library, and one of the things that I've noticed is that we have multiple authentication methods in SharePoint, well, in Azure, and in my case, I have created an application. So I'm going to Azure Active Directory, and I have my app registration, and I have my demo application that I've created for my one of the previous videos. And I can authorize to use Microsoft Graph using secrets. So I have actually a secret that I've created, and I can use the secret to authenticate and use the Graph API. However, if I want to use SharePoint, I cannot use this secret. For some reasons, if you want to use SharePoint API, SharePoint Online, you need to use certificates to authenticate. So I'm going to show you how to do that in a second. I will actually remove the certificate, and I'm going to show you how we can do that and what we can do to create the certificate and upload it end-to-end. So first of all, let me create a certificate, and I will show you how to do that. I have a cheat sheet, and I'm able to create a certificate using this command. So OpenSSL, request new key, and I'm gonna create actually two files, key and certificate. So I'm gonna create the public and the private key with it. It's gonna ask me for a couple of things. I'm not gonna provide a lot of stuff in it. I think that's it. And now we should see our two files being created. One is the private key, one is the public key, so to say. So the private key is the certificate.pem, and the public is key.pem. So what I have to do, I have to upload the cert.pem to Azure. So let me do that. I'm gonna upload this certificate now. Upload certificate. Let me select the file. I'm using it's not the folder. Oh, that's the folder. So that's me. Okay, it's uploaded, and now my certificate actually created a thumbprint. So I'm gonna copy it. I'm gonna use it in the code that we are gonna create. So that's one thing. To authenticate with SharePoint, it actually works very similarly to Microsoft Graph authentication we did before. So what we need is client ID, tenant ID. We would need authority, the private key itself, certificate thumbprint we have. Then we will create an MSAL application. So from MSAL import confidential client application, and we will have to provide here the client ID, authority, and our client credentials, which will be equal to our certificate. So to build the certificate, we have to create a dictionary, private key, and it's going to be our key. So the private key, and we need the thumbprint, which is our thumbprint, certificate thumbprint. So cool. So this is the certificate we have to provide. Now let me fill in the blanks, so to say. So let me go to the overview of the application to get the client ID and the tenant. So this is the application ID. The tenant ID. Where's the tenant ID? Here we go. Oops, something didn't work. Copy, okay, copied. Okay, authority. If you remember from the Authenticating Graph API, this is basically a string that is saying https login.microsoftonline.com/tenant ID. So we're almost ready. There's one thing that we don't have, which is the private key. So if I go here and I do cat key pen, here we have the private key. So what I basically do, I'm copy pasting the whole thing, including the begin private key and private key texts, and I'm gonna paste it here. I'm trying not to get additional spaces at the beginning, and have the full certificate here. I'm gonna of course remove this certificate from my demo SharePoint or demo Azure portal. So I'm not, let's say, worried about displaying this. Of course, private keys should be kept private. Public keys should be as well called, should be kept secrets, and you should not share them with anyone. They should be treated with respect, so to say, so that no one gets hacked. Okay, so now we have our MSAL application created. What we need to do, we have to as well define now the scopes. So scopes for our applications are different. If we want to use Graph API, the scopes for the Graph API were as follows. Default. However, for SharePoint, we have to use different scopes. So scopes for SharePoint Online, and these are basically, this is the domain of our SharePoint that we have. In my case, my domain is this. So I'm gonna copy paste my SharePoint domain. And I'm done. I will just comment this out. I will not be using this one. So now what we do now is do results. We want to get the authentication token from our MSAL application. So what we do, we acquire token for client, we provide the scopes we are interested in, and in our case it's going to be the SharePoint scopes, so this one. This is really important to ensure that you don't use scope for graph, but we use the scope for SharePoint, because otherwise we will get authentication errors. So now let's see if we have our auth token in the response. So if our access token in results, then our access token is going to be equal to get access token okay. Now we are almost ready to start querying our SharePoint. So what we have to do is now create the headers with the authorization. It's going to be our bearer and our access token. And as per the documentation, we have to ask for specific stuff that we can accept. JSON, all data, verbose, and another one is content type. Content type, application JSON. Cool. Now we are going to be querying our SharePoint site, so we need to make sure that we understand what is the SharePoint site base URL. Base URL, and so it's going to be our website that we're going to query. So let's see what we have here. I have a demo communication site, or let's see what are the sites that I have here. I've created a demo site, and this is the demo site that I have. So I'm gonna use this. This is the URL I'm gonna use. And just to test our API, I'm gonna go and find URL. I'm gonna, let's say, check if what are the site groups that we have. So it's gonna be our SharePoint base URL, and it's gonna be underscore API web site groups. So now let's make our request. I didn't import request, so let me import that. It's going to get URL is going to be SharePoint URL, and headers is going to be equals to our headers. Cool. And now let's do print status. As well do JSON dumps response JSON. So we are going to do a pretty print. And let's test it out. So we got a status code of 200, and let's see what is the outcome. And then, sorry, I've made a mistake, a typo. I want to do a pretty print, so to say, of the response. Here we go. So you can see I was able to get the request. I got 200 response, and I was able to get the groups, side groups of my site. In this case, these are owners, users. You have the login name, the titles, and a lot of stuff related to that groups, which is good. And you can, of course, use it to do a query of different other APIs. So to sum up what we did, so we ensured we have a certificate. So I generated the certificate using an OpenSSL command, the public and private keys. The cert.pem is the public one, the one that we shared with the world. The key is the private key that we keep secret. Then I uploaded the certificate to SharePoint, to Azure portal. I got the thumbprint of that certificate, and then we used the MSAL library to authenticate with SharePoint, and then we are able to connect, do the test of connectivity end to end. We obtain the groups of the SharePoint, and there's a lot of other stuff that you can do with SharePoint if you want at that point. I hope that you enjoyed the video, and guys, please subscribe and like the video if you liked it, and in the comments you can ask me for other stuff that you would like me to maybe create a video on. Okay, thank you, and have a nice day.